Hi, I'm George Ellison and this is Dave Scott, and we're here from Acme Guitar Works, and we're here to tell you about this guitar. This is a Fender Blacktop Stratocaster. It's a new guitar sold with a Fender factory warranty, and we are a Fender authorized dealer, and we basically buy these guitars new from Fender, and we take them out of the box and we hot rod them and make changes to them that we would do if they were our guitars. This guitar is a really cool sonic blue guitar. It comes from Fender with a mint green pickguard, which, you know, I like mint green. Anybody that likes that traditional look, I think, likes mint green. But I thought it would look better with this white pearloid or H-white pearloid. So we did this. This is a Fender pickguard. We had to open up the humbucker openings since we're using covered humbuckers, but other than that, it's a straight up Fender pickguard. We did rewire the guitar and we did different pickups, and I'll tell you about those in a minute. But let me talk about the playability of the guitar first. So what we do is we pull the guitar out of the box, and then we want it to play really well and we want it to sound great. So on the playability front, we almost always do fret work on the guitar. So sometimes we do refrets. On this particular guitar, we did a fret level crown and polish. It comes from Fender with a 9.5 inch fretboard radius, so we can get nice low action, and it comes from Fender with medium jumbo frets, so they're pretty nice. You can bend and use vibrato for people who like tall frets. I do, I know Dave does, and so they fit the bill. But the fret level basically makes sure that they're really true and level with each other so that we can get the action as low as possible. And then we also adjust the nut slots so that we can get them get the guitar playing as well as it can down here. The nut slots make a big difference. If they're not cut to the proper depth, it can really affect the playability of a guitar. And so then at this end, this guitar ships from Fender with a zinc block on the tremolo. So in the 50s and 60s, Fender used a solid steel block on their tremolo for the inertia block, and they still use steel blocks on some of the American guitars, but on the Mexican guitars they come with a cast zinc block. So we replaced that with a solid steel block from Callahan, and in this case we also replaced the saddles. In fact, what this guitar has is what Callahan calls an upgrade kit. So it includes the block, it includes the saddles, and it includes the 6 screws across the front that are hardened. And then also we use a Callahan arm. It's a stainless steel arm, and it pushes into the block. There's a Delrin bushing inside the hole so that you don't have the play in the arm that you normally do when you just have an arm that threads in. And also the arm is less susceptible to breakage because of the way it bears on the Delrin. So playability wise, the guitar plays really well. The tremolo is usable. Dave will play it, and you'll see that he'll use the tremolo quite a bit, and yet the guitar will stay in tune very well. So the other thing that we've done on this is we've removed the gloss from the back of the neck. Even though this is a relatively inexpensive guitar for Fender, they do buff the back of the neck to a high gloss, but it's a little sticky sometimes, especially when your hands are sweating. And so we knock the gloss off. We do a nice hard sharp line, so there's a real nice clear demarcation between the gloss area and the matte area, but it just makes the guitar more comfortable to play. So that's it for playability. Now let's talk about the electronics, because the electronics on this guitar are quite a bit different than might at first appear. We used Lindy Fralin unbuckers rather than standard humbuckers. Unbuckers are an unbalanced humbucker, so you have a strong coil and a weak coil. The screw coil is a strong coil, and the slug coil is a weak coil. The beauty of those is that if you're going to put them in a guitar where you're going to split the humbucker into a single coil, if you have an 8K humbucker, you've got two 4K coils. If you've got an 8K unbucker, you may have a 5K coil and a 3K coil, or a 5.5 and a 2.5. So because you've got a strong coil and a weak coil, when you turn on just the strong coil, it more closely mimics a true single coil than half of a equivalent humbucker would do. And so it's a really good pickup for Strat and Tele applications, especially where you're combining, in some cases, the pickups with single coils, and you're trying to get like a couple of single coils on together. And we've done some of that with this guitar. So basically it's a 5-way switch, and the 1, 3, and 5 positions are straight Gibson, right? So all the way down, the 1 position, bridge humbucker. The 3 position, both humbuckers in parallel, just like a Les Paul in the middle position. All the way forward in the 5 position, we've got a neck humbucker, and so you can think Gibson. And then we've got a tone control that's dedicated to those 3 positions. It only works in those 3, and it has a .015 capacitor, which is a fairly low value capacitor, so that it's there's subtle tonal shading that's really works well with humbuckers. It's a nice value to use. The 2 and the 4 positions, we'll think of those as the Fender positions. In the 2 position, what we've done is we've split each of the humbuckers. So we've got 1 coil from each of the humbuckers on, and we're trying to mimic the 2 position on a Stratocaster, where we've got a bridge single coil and a middle single coil on together in parallel, because that's one of the go-to Fender positions. Every Strat guy, there are 2 positions out of the 5 on a normal Strat that are like indispensable for many players, for most players. That's one of them. So in order to mimic that as closely as possible, we've got a single coil that remains on from each of the pickups. So in order to maintain hum canceling in that position, we've got the neck screw coil on with the bridge slug coil. So we've got a strong coil and a weak coil that remain on. They're wired together in parallel, and it's hum canceling. And you'll be able to hear what that sounds like and how well it mimics sort of those in-between positions on a Stratocaster. The other go-to position for most Strat guys is the neck single coil. That's like, you know, everybody loves, that's probably the most popular position on a Stratocaster. So there, in the 4 position, we just have the neck single coil on, the strong coil, the screw coil. Because the 2 and the 4 are sort of the Fender positions, we've dedicated the tone control to those. So in the 2 and 4 position, this tone control is active. It's not active in 1, 3, and 5. So we're able to split those out and be really granular with the assignment of the tone controls because of the type of the 5-way switch that we've used. And then there's one more trick. And that trick is also in the 1, 3, and 5, the Gibson humbucker positions, we've got a 500K volume pot. But in the other 2 positions, the 2 and the 4, we've dropped the value of the volume pot from 500K to 250K. You may not realize that the value of the volume pot would make a tonal difference in the guitar. A 250K pot sounds different than a 500K pot, even if they're both turned all the way up. It still makes a tonal difference, and so we've optimized this so that when we do the splitting and the single coil things, we've got a 250K volume pot, but in the other 3 positions, we've got a 500K volume pot. So it's a pretty clever wiring. So that's it. It's a really cool looking guitar. It plays great. Dave's going to demo it, and I think that you'll find that it sounds fantastic.
Well, I'm interested to hear this neck pickup single coil, so we'll start with that. And
that's right.
Go to neck position humbucker. go to middle, 2 humbuckers, kind of like standard Gibson. And now in position 2, that is noise canceling.
That's right.
Okay, so we're gained up on the bridge pickup. Neck pickup. Middle, both. Sounds good.
Okay, so it's a cool guitar. They're really reasonably priced, even with the changes we make to them, the parts we add. They still go out the door at prices that most guys can afford. It's a great tool to add to your toolbox, and we've always got these things available on our website. So check out our website, and you can see what we've got available currently. And if we don't have what you want, then just give us a call or send an email, and we'll see if we can get you what you're looking for. So, thanks for watching.